Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to show you how to brew a cup of coffee on the single serve side using a K-Cup. I kind of want to explain the single serve side and then the K-Cup side. So to start off with, we got to make sure on the brewer we've got the single serve side and that single serve side's lit. That means we're going to be using this. You're going to lift this up, make sure you've got your K-Cup basket in. Now you always have to have this is called the funnel. This should always be installed whether you're using the ground coffee or the K-Cup. But if you'll notice, this K-Cup has a needle down there. That's going to puncture the bottom of the K-Cup. And then there's a needle at the top. That's going to puncture the top of the K-Cup. So you may be wondering, my biggest question was when I started this is how much water should I run through that K-Cup? So this machine doesn't have like a button you press to run a certain amount of water. You've got a reservoir here that can hold from 6 to 14 ounces. So it's going to brew whatever you put in there. So you're kind of in control with how much you put in there. That's what it's going to brew through it. I like to brew coffee K-Cups at the 8-ounce mark. This is a Keurig machine. So a Keurig machine lets you press buttons and it runs that amount of water through there. You don't have, it has a water reservoir. And again, I like to do mine on the 8-ounce setting. So if you look on the back, some manufacturers tell you what to brew them on. Now, Starbucks is pretty good. They say use the 8-ounce setting on your brewer. Most of them just say just brew it. They don't give you an actual specification of what to brew it on. So you might have to play around with it and see what you like, but I think most K-Cups taste the best around 8 ounces, but that is just my user. Everybody could be different. So I wanted to show you, this is kind of a bigger coffee cup, but it's kind of the standard nowadays. I've got 8 ounces of water here. These things are really nice, these measuring cups. So I'm just going to put 8 ounces of water in there, and I just want to show you, that's about a standard, that's what I consider a standard cup of coffee from a K-Cup. It tastes really good. I've done a lot of taste comparisons. I got videos that I show where I brew a pot of coffee and then I do an 8 ounce and they taste almost identical. But the nice thing about it is if you want a stronger cup of coffee that day, just put 6 ounces of water in. If you like 10 ounces, but be careful, once you get above 10 ounces, the cup, you're going to need kind of a bigger coffee cup. So there's 8 ounces. So again, I got it on the single serve side. The single serve is lit up. This is where my water goes. And again, I like to use kind of like a pouring container, but I'm going to verify that I've got 8 ounces in. So it's just a little bit, so see it's showing just a little bit more than 8 ounces. And so this single serve is really nice. K-Cups, there's just so much variety. And you would be surprised. I've done a lot of taste tests. Like this McCafe from McDonald's, it tastes really close to what you get at the store. And same with the Pete's coffee. And I've brewed it with a pot of coffee because they sell this in coffee grounds. And it tastes really close. So these K-Cups have come a long way. But we're going to lift the lever. And then we're going to make sure you put the K-Cup in there with that kind of that foil side up. Now, I don't pierce mine. Some people will push this down and go ahead and pierce it. I let the machine do all the work. So I'm going to push this down. And it pierces both the bottom and the top. And I got to make sure it's all the way up or all the way down. And I can't lift this up. That means it's locked. And then I'm simply going to I'm going to hit the brew button. And then this thing it heats that water up first. Once it gets it up to a temperature, then it turns the water pump on and shoots it through the K-Cup. Okay, so now it's shooting the water through the K-Cup. And with these K-Cups, you may notice it's really strong at first, and then as the water goes through it, it kind of gets lighter. They do recommend you stir in your cup of coffee. You know, and that's a pretty hot cup of coffee. That's about 166. That's really nice. It smells really good too. So in less than 2 minutes, you've got a cup of coffee that tastes every bit as good as a coffee pot. It's just for one person. So I brewed the Pete's coffee, which is a really good coffee. Yeah, that's a really hot cup of coffee. It tastes really good. And then you just lift this up. There's your K-Cup. Now you can do it one of two ways. You can take this over to the trash can. Now I've got a video on how to recycle K-Cups. Be careful, this can be hot. But you can recycle K-Cups and put the grounds in your garden or outside and recycle the plastic and foil. But we can lift the K-Cup off there so that pierces the top and it pierces the bottom. So I like to cut K-Cups open to kind of see what's going on inside. So I'm going to cut the bottom off and then the top. So here you have the bottom. Now the more expensive, the Starbucks and like the Pete's Coffee, they have this like thing in the bottom. I'm not quite sure what it's for yet, but that's the part that gets pierced, but it doesn't pierce. You have a really nice filter bag. Now these filters are very important. This is what keeps sediment out of your coffee. So now I've got the top, and you got two, I've measured a K-Cup before you brew. You've got 2 tablespoons of coffee grounds in here. With a really nice, so when you do normal coffee at a coffee maker, most people use a paper filter. That prevents sediment. You can use reusable filters, but you'll get a little bit of sediment. But there you have the inside of a K-Cup. All the grounds are nice and saturated, and it does a really good job. And those are really good quality coffee grounds. So really the options are endless. You can buy teas. Now I do my teas with a little bit more water. So you're in control. I would put 14 ounces of water in here when I do a tea K-Cup. But in between, so if somebody's doing a coffee and then somebody does a tea, you're going to want to do a fresh water rinse. So you would just leave this open and don't put a K-Cup in here. Close the lid, put water in there, and just do a brew with just water to kind of rinse it out. Otherwise, you do get a little bit of that tea taste in your coffee, or vice versa, coffee into your tea taste. But there's just so many K-Cups out there, and this thing's but you're in control of how much water you add. That's how strong or weak your coffee or your tea is going to be. So it may take some playing around with, but you'll figure out what you like. I'm going to do another video. I'm going to show you how to use this reusable. This is a reusable K-Cup. And the reason I'm going to show you how to use this is because you can use paper filters with this. So you can buy these paper filters to go in there to prevent sediment. Now I know this machine does have a reusable coffee filter, and I have used it. And you will get some sediment if you don't use a filter. So they say you can use a #1 cone filter inside here, but you don't have to use a filter. This will prevent coffee grounds from getting in your coffee, but you do get a little bit of sediment in there. I've also got a video on how to descale this coffee maker. You really want to keep up on descaling. You know, if your K-Cup is not tasting quite right or not hot, it's time to descale. And then I've also got another video. So by using this K-Cup side, your needles are going to clog after a while. And I've got another video on how to unclog the needles. So thanks everybody for watching. And if you could, please like and subscribe.